The Nintendo Gamecube launched back in September 2001 for Japan, and a couple months later on November the 18th in North America. Unlucky Europeans wouldn't get their hands on it until the following year, but the wait was well worth it for one of the best looking games consoles of all time, of course. The Nintendo Gamecube is a beautiful, compact piece of kit, as we all know. Using the jack of all trades direction of its competitors, the console concentrated on doing just one thing: playing games well. Its striking indigo colour, or grey depending on which version you had, the big chunky A button on the control, unique little disc and infamous carry handle on the back ultimately worked against it in an era of slick all-in-one game machines. However, it was a powerful little box that played host to a fabulous library of games. This was one of the last time Nintendo put itself in direct competition with Sony and Microsoft in pure spec terms before changing tack when they released the Nintendo Wii. Today we conclude our countdown of the best 50 games ever released for the Nintendo Gamecube by looking at the 10 best games based on user rating. Number 10. Pikmin 2, user score 8.85 out of 10. Removing the 30-day time limit that so irked players in the first game, Pikmin 2 expands on the original in every way, creating a larger adventure with more of everything you liked before, plus a host of extra modes. Wingman Louie joins Captain Olimar this time around, and the game also introduced white and purple Pikmin into the mix, expanding the puzzling possibilities and options available to you as the diminutive spaceman. I think I said that wrong. It also gives you more options around fighting beasties and collecting tasty looking fruits, discarding objects and finding ship pieces. Some players might miss the tight focus of the original, but this is a fine sequel and worth hunting down a copy. Number 9. Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem, user score 8.89 out of 10. Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem is a brilliant psychological horror game that blends Resident Evil style survival horror with Lovecraftian old world magic to create something quite unique and only available on the Gamecube. It may take you a while to get into the spellcasting and unusual mix of styles, but once it gets under your skin, it's a hard game to shake. The fourth wall breaking sanity effects and the ambitious dread-soaked story deserve recognition. Whether you're a hardcore horror aficionado or a novice that needs a walkthrough with the lights on, we recommend playing this one in any way you can. Number 8. The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, user score 9.08 out of 10. The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess took the series back to an art style closer to Ocarina of Time, albeit a little earthier and obviously benefiting from the power of the cube. For many fans, it was the realistic Zelda they'd been pining for after Nintendo took a left turn with the Windwaker cel shading. Although it didn't quite strike all the right notes, it still featured some breathtaking dungeons, memorable oddball characters and a unique atmosphere, setting a precedent that Nintendo would later repeat with Breath of the Wild, Twilight Princess straddling generations, bookending the Gamecube and launching the Wii with some added waggle and widescreen. Number 7. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time / Master Quest, user score 9.09 out of 10. You're Zelda, an expanded second quest version of the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time with remixed dungeon elements and other minor alterations, was planned for the ill-fated 64 Double D console, but thanks to that system's commercial failure, it got shelved unfortunately. But fortunately, Gamecube owners will get the chance to play it on a special disc that was available as a pre-order bonus for the Windwaker. There's not much to say beyond the fact that it gives fans the chance to play previously unreleased Zelda content, so no wonder it ranks so highly in the Gamecube owners' memories. A variation of the Master Quest that was later available in Ocarina port on 3DS, but this is the only way to play it with those classic N64 visuals. Number 6. Super Smash Bros. Melee, user scored 9.11 out of 10. There's a reason that to this day Super Smash Bros. Melee has a dedicated hardcore following in the fighter community. Fans will say it's tighter, faster and requires more skill than any other entry. They'll point to it being far more entertaining to watch than its successors, down to its faster pace. They'll point out its better balance, or compelling arguments. More broadly though, it's brilliantly local multiplayer brawler that sanded the rough edges of the original N64 edition and added a metric ton of content, and does feel the most balanced of all the entries in the series before the roster ballooned. Smash would continue to grow from there, but there's an elegance and purity of the Gamecube iteration that makes it worth revisiting if you're knee deep in the ultimate and want to try a different flavour of Superstar Brawler. Number 5. The Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition, user score 9.18 out of 10. A promotional disc that was bundled with hardware or made available in a variety of ways to Gamecube players across the globe. It's hard to argue with the quality of the games on offer. It contains the original Legend of Zelda, Legend of Zelda 2 for the NES, as well as the 64 entries Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. The emulation of the last two wasn't perfect, but as a means of playing past Zeldas on your shiny new Gamecube for the pleasing entry price of nothing, it was a very fine collection to have. Number 4. Resident Evil 4. User score 9.22 out of 10. Resident Evil 4 was a watershed moment for survival horror Capcom series. Shedding the genre-defining fixed camera gameplay of the previous titles, it traded a little of that survival horror for a boatload of tight, tense action. It not only revitalised the series, but set the blueprint for a decade of third-person action games. So brilliant was Resident Evil 4 that it's taken until relatively recently for the series to escape its shadow. The game was designed for Nintendo's hardware in mind, and despite going on to appear on practically every other home console produced since the Gamecube, the original system is still one of the best ways to play it, with the Gamecube controller marrying the design perfectly. The series has had its ups and downs like any other, but it's hard to argue that Resident Evil 4 isn't the best of them all. Number 3. Metroid Prime. User score 9.3 out of 10. Metroid Prime is the kind of game that people said shouldn't have worked. The design, extraordinary atmosphere and sense of exploration and progression of the 2D games all transfer incredibly well into this first-person shooter. While the Wii version might have had the IR pointers control system of Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, there's still something to be said for experiencing the original using the controller it was designed for. Now is a great time to rediscover the original, and with the sublime Metroid Prime remaster now available, it's never been easier. Number 2. The Legend of Zelda The Windwaker. User score 9.32 out of 10. Given the Zelda controversy that delighted the game at its initial reveal, it's fitting that The Wind Waker has come to be so loved and admired over time. Where other games of the era struggle under the weight of modern high-definition scrutiny, Toon Link's maiden voyage looks almost as fresh as the day we set out from Outset Isle to discover what had happened to the Hyrule we once knew. It's not without flaws, which the HD remake on Wii U addressed. No, it's the rainbow colours of the tempestuous ocean, the breezy panpipes of the dragon roost, or the salty self-reflection our voyagers brought about that stick in the memory. Beneath the surface, it's very much a continuation of the 3D Zelda template laid down in Ocarina of Time, but there's undeniable magic about Wind Waker, and in spite of its imperfections, it's still one of the favourite titles of the series. And the number 1 Nintendo Gamecube game based on user ratings is Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, with a user score of 9.31 out of 10. The power of Gamecube enabled greater fidelity of its paper-based art style than the original, but otherwise Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door stuck closely to the original's blueprint. It's a wonderfully colourful adventure packed with clever callbacks to the portly plumber's history, and the same spirit which makes so many Mario RPGs refreshingly different from the mascot's platformers. While other entries have dropped the ball in an area too, The Thousand Year Door gets everything right. The plot, the writing, the battle system style, and the presentation, everything overall. Prices for the Gamecube disc, still the only official way to play the game, have skyrocketed in recent years, and they've given the quality. It's not hard to see why. Okay, so that's it. A look at 10 more of the best Nintendo games of all time. So if you enjoyed, don't forget to push the like button, leave a comment down below, of course subscribing to the channel. For my Twitter and Instagram links down below as always. Of course, we are partnered with TubeBuddy. First link in the description for your YouTube needs, tag tarts, thumbnails, all that good stuff. So that's what you need help with, like I did, especially on tags. Head down, join TubeBuddy today, and trust me, you want to hear what I'm about it. And of course, our partner on Chelsea, we want to hit down below and hit that join button to support myself on the channel and get a huge range of benefits. Be greatly appreciated. Wish you never have to, but if you don't, you have to subscribe and watch the next video. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I've been Next Lock, so I'll see you again very soon.